Hello, good afternoon. We are on the eve of the full moon. The full moon is in the wee hours of what day are we on? We're on Tuesday. So we're 2 days ahead of the full moon, but this is the time that I had a minute to look at the chart and do the divine feminine astrology reading for full moon in Scorpio, sun in Taurus. And I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and I am here with you every new moon and full moon to do this reading for the foreseeable future. I love these readings. These readings are something that I do with every one of my private clients. At the outset, it's the first thing we do is find out what the goddess points are saying in their natal chart, and it gives us direction and focus for where the work needs to go, and it lets us know all these resources that are available to them. It's just wonderful. So it's important for everybody. The universal full moon and new moon readings do not tend to be personal, but you can take the information and apply it to what's going on in your life. And I'm just going to put in a plug right now at the outset. You want one of these readings, and if you've not had one, go to my page at cosmiccrone.com/DFAR and take a look, because I am booking these for the rest of 2020. I have 2 per month, and I am booking them this month. Reserve yours now. If you want it in May, go book it right now. If you want it in September, well, you need to book it right now, but you can do it, tomorrow, because you can reserve and say, I want one of the September ones because that's my birthday, or I always do it at the equinox, or whatever your motivation is. And I'm just saying that because they are so valuable. It's time for me to raise the price, to be blunt. And if you get it now, you will get it at the old price of $247. And if you wait until June, it's going to be twice that much. So I'm going to do this reading for you now. And it just so happens that the full moon chart has a lot of coherence with my natal chart, which is blowing me away. I've been sitting here looking and saying, okay, what's going on with the chart? And it's like all of a sudden I see my chart superimposed over it. This full moon is on my ascendant and descendant, and I'll explain that as we go along, just because it illustrates how important these points are for your own life and knowing where they fit into your chart. So I'll put the link in the comments where you can go and look it over, and just be aware, if you've had on your mind, I'd love to do that divine feminine astrology reading with Carla. I only offer a few, like 2 per month, that are not associated with one of my other programs. So if you just want to jump in and grab the reading, it is a deep, private, one-on-one healing session with me, and I'm just filling up my calendar right now. So you don't want to hesitate. There's 16 of them left for the year, and you want to grab one. And that's all I have to say about that. So here is the divine feminine astrology reading for. It is happening at 6:45 a.m. on Thursday morning, the 7th, and the full moon is in Scorpio, which is already pretty exciting. A full moon in Scorpio sends that luminous reflected light into our shadowy spaces. It's looking up, where are our wounds? Scorpio likes to shine the spotlight on the things we don't talk about, and that's our sexuality, that's death, it's money, and how we feel and what we believe about all that, how we were raised, where we are wounded. All 3 of those subjects are incredibly triggering, and Our society has designed it that way. So this moon is going to be setting in the west, in my time zone anyway. It's going to be setting just after sunrise, and it's going to be setting on the daylight is coming, which will illuminate the issues. The full moon is carrying that portal down below the horizon, and it's saying, you've got a moment here to focus on this. Where does your money story need to be illuminated? Where does your sexuality need to be healed? Where is the change that needs to happen in your life so that you can have more satisfaction in all those things? Because Scorpio material, we talk about it being the shadowy, the things we don't talk about, but truly it's the things that make life so much more vibrant and interesting. Our sexuality is pleasure, it's attraction, it's manifestation, it's creativity. And money, if you've got a choice between living without money and with money, which one works better for you? And then death. So much of what hurts us in life is our abject fear of death. And if we had a more illuminated, a more peaceful relationship with our own mortality, with the mortality of the people we love, then we would be able to engage in the sweetness of life. These Scorpio issues might not be as triggering. Hello, Umair. Good to see you. So that's where the full moon is. And what blows me away is that it's sitting on my rising sign. My ascendant, it's actually, my ascendant is in 19 and change of Scorpio. And the moon is sitting just above that, still transiting in my 12th house. But it is aligned with my natal Juno and my natal Saturn. So everything that's going up in my rising sign is activated directly by this new moon. But wait, there's more. We'll get to it. The moon is at 1720 Scorpio. The sun is at 1720 Taurus. Well, guess what I have at 1726 Taurus? Nessus, the planet of healing your family lineage. In fact, my natal Nessus is across my chart from all of my Scorpio issues. And sexuality and money were the big wounds that I had to heal from my family lineage. And and Nessus is standing over there holding that kite string, saying, I will help you heal those in this generation if you choose. So the sun is sitting right on top of my natal Nessus, while the moon is opposite. So what am I going to be doing in the next 48 hours? I'm doing a deep dive into my own family issues, my own lineage healing around sex and money and trauma and abuse and whatever is coming up. And a lot of this has not happened to me in my life, but it's been carried forward from my ancestors. And some of it is real for my life. Some of it did get triggered in my early life. So I will be sifting through that. This full moons and new moons are times to do that work, which is one reason why I give you these readings, because you have the information then. So what I look at is, what are the moon and the sun directly aspecting to? I'm looking at the goddess points, and then I also look at what's happening simultaneously. So what do I notice? And it's kind of just an interesting, well, what does that mean? Well, what it does is it gets my attention. I'm noticing how many planets are at double numbers. And by that I mean, I'm looking at Haumea. She is the Hawaiian creator goddess. She is the mother of all of the Hawaiian gods, Pele included. And so she is like the great-grandmother. She's a potent, powerful creatrix. She's at 2626 Libra. She happens to be trine Mars, so she is sending her energy towards Mars in Aquarius. She's picking up on that masculine, warlike energy, saying, Mars, you need to do some work for me. We are working together on what's going on right now. The children are suffering, and we need to work together to heal the suffering. What's it going to take? Do we need to go into battle against something? Do we need to marshal be a commander of forces? Do we need to direct our attention and all of our resources towards a solution? Well, of course we do. And Mars is square Algol, the demonized goddess. So the demonized goddess is communicating with this aspect between Haumea and Mars, and she is saying, first off, you've got to realize the demonized goddess, she is the Lilith star. And Lilith is only demonized because patriarchy said she was. This is really the goddess coming back ferocious, fierce, in defense of her children. So she's working with Haumea and Mars. Could this be related to healing the virus? Could this be related to shifts in the social structure caused by what's going on with the virus around the world? We're kind of in the middle of it right now, and we are in a place of empowerment where we get to decide. We get to choose, how are we going to face this? And how are we going to direct our energy? Is it going to be towards more life and towards the protection and health and healing of the earth and the children and the mothers? Or is it going to be towards fighting and struggling and arguing and making up stories and being victims? Because that's a lot of what I see right now. So what else is going on? The sun and moon up. Let's talk about Mercury. Mercury is always fairly close to the sun because of, from the perspective of Earth, we're looking at Mercury, which is very quickly moving around the sun. And Mercury and the sun are getting close together. They are getting very close to an exact conjunction. That's coming up very soon. This is another of the double numbers. Mercury is at 2023 Taurus, and it is speaking in close harmony with Neptune, which is at 2023 Pisces. And this is interesting because, and they're all aspecting, conjunct the sun and opposite the moon, and then Nessus and the moon are in a trine. So these four are talking to each other. And their conversation goes something like this. The moon is saying, the emotions are very potent and powerful right now. At the full moon, I'm shining my full light on your emotional life. And your emotions, they're a great source of power. But they can be a great source of disruption and confusion if you do not know how to manage them. If you do not have what is known as emotional intelligence, if you don't know how to use the energy of emotions and you let them carry you instead of you carrying your emotions in a grounded way. And when Neptune is involved, Neptune is, well, first off, he's visionary. So he can take those full moon emotions and whatever else that full moon is talking about in your personal chart. I've just told you what it's talking about in my chart. He's saying, I will give you a vision of how this can work out. I will give you a vision of what you can create if you so choose. And he can also obscure your vision. This is where emotional dystopia or dysfunction comes in. He says, I'm going to confuse you. And this can happen all at once because our minds like to work that way. When our mind tunes in to Neptune, we can get an incredible vision, or it's not even or, it's and in the next moment our mind is saying, oh, but that's so confusing. That's not logical. That's not rational. That would never work. I don't know how. And honestly, as a Pisces, I have a lot of that going on in my life. I am constantly working with my natal Neptune energy, which my natal Neptune happens to be conjunct, transiting Haumea right now. But I work with that natal Neptune energy to track my sense of confidence and commitment and focus versus confusion and kind of you can in a place of confusion where you're not sure what Neptune's pointing to. It's got things veiled, things are cloudy looking, then you can go into self-judgment and self-doubt. So this full moon can trigger vision and power, and then it's going to turn right around and trigger self-doubt. So Mars is there, as I've just described. Mars is there, and Mercury is there to say, I will pierce through the fog. Because as much as Neptune is famous for a big orb. Neptune, a conjunction with Neptune can be as big as 8 or 10 degrees, which is huge. It's like a third of a sign. And it is in an exact trine with Mercury right now. And Mercury is like surgical precision, speed, decisiveness. Give me a job and I will go do it. He's a communicator. He moves at the speed of electricity, or if he wants to, the speed of light, the speed of money, the speed of electronics. Wherever you are in the world, you are hearing my voice in real time because Mercury can go there just like that. And we have tapped into Mercury. We are living in the age of Mercury. And so Mercury is there with the sun and opposite the moon saying, I'll help you with this. I got this. I will cut through the fog and help you home in on your vision. So thank you, Mercury. I'll be using you this week. What else have we got going on? Well, the other amazing thing that's going on is still we're in this rather long conjunction of Venus and Vesta. The bright and shining Queen of Heaven is slowing down. In one more week, on the 13th, she is turning retrograde. She's going to stop and start her retrograde motion for about 6 weeks. This is concurrent with Inanna's, or this symbolized to the ancient ones, Inanna's descent into the underworld. The Queen of Heaven going down into the underworld to meet death, to meet her sister, the Queen of the underworld. And then she gathers that richness of the shadow world the sacrificial surrender of dying. We're back to Scorpio again. We're triggering some of that Scorpio energy, Plutonian energy also, because for us to create anything, for us to grow as human beings, as individuals, for us to learn, we have to be willing to let go of something. We have to be willing to let something that we treasure die. Something that we cling to, that we depend upon. So Venus is about to do that symbolic journey on our behalf, and she is doing it with the support of Vesta. Vesta, the priestess who for the last 6 months between something like mid-August in 2019 through March 7th, Vesta was in a tight, close relationship to the demonized goddess Lilith star, and Sedna, who is another deep, dark goddess. And now she is bringing that energy into Venus's turn into retrograde. And actually, Vesta and Venus are going to be in a relationship for the next 5 months, all the way until equinox in September. So this is an incredibly potent aspect for our time, for this year, and it's happening concurrent with the Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions that are happening over in Capricorn, and it's concurrent with the lead-in to the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that is happening on the 21st of December on the solstice. So we have incredible portals. 2020 is a hell of a year, and you really want to know what's going on with the goddesses, the divine feminine points in your chart. So hit me up for that reading. The price in May is $247, and after that it is going up. So I'm just saying, all right, we'll book all of them for the year. So if you want it now, get in there. It'll be first come, first serve, or you can name your time. But you go to the website cosmiccrone.com/DFAR in order to purchase your reading and get on my calendar. What are the other goddesses saying? Oh, well, this is kind of interesting. Black Moon Lilith, the feminine, the void of creation, the intergalactic feminine energy. I call her the goddess before patriarchy. She's been hanging out with Chiron in Aries. And Chiron right now is in an opposition to Juno. Both of them are. Juno is the goddess of the sacred union. She's in Libra, which is the sign of the sacred union, the sign of relationship. Juno stands for social justice, what is good for women and children, and the sacred union for the sacred marriage of masculine and feminine. In my group, I've been doing a series for women called the Sex Church Challenge, and we are working on what makes sex sacred. And Juno is right there, opposite Chiron, saying this is a good time to heal that in your own self. Pallas Athene with Saturn. Pallas Athene is strategy. Saturn is rules, the container, the strategy. These are both two highly mental planets, and one is the feminine aspect and one is the masculine aspect. Saturn says you've got to play by the rules. You've got to do your work. That's what he really says. We can look at it and say he's about institutions and rules and law and control. But what he's really about is self-control. where he is in service to us as individuals is discipline. What do you want? You have to work for it consistently. And things like the moon and emotional intelligence, Saturn says, I can help you with that. I can create a structure by which you can feel your emotions and let them inform you and teach you about what's going on in your life and how you can work with your mind and your emotions as the dual superpower they are, to discipline yourself, to create, to work with this Neptune stuff and cut through the crap again, to cut through the fog in order to see the vision. And so you have, they are both in Aquarius. Pallas Athene has just entered Aquarius, and Saturn is there until he comes retrograde back into Capricorn. And Saturn actually is one of the rulers of Aquarius, the ancient ruler of Aquarius. And he's saying, once again, we're going to do this for the collective, for the good of the people. And they are still close enough. All this stuff is happening, and all these planets are in the last 5 degrees of Capricorn, Pluto, Jupiter, Capricorn, and then Pallas Athene and Saturn. They're all right there together, and they're like a superhero team. And especially since they're in the final degrees of Capricorn, they have been kind of grinding it out in Capricorn, Pluto, for years and years, and Pluto still has a few years in Capricorn. But they're about, everybody, with the exception of Pluto and Jupiter, are going to be moving in. Well, even Capricorn is retrograding back. She's got more time to spend with Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn. She has been the saving effect. Pluto in Capricorn is really hard. Pluto in Capricorn basically stands for de-leveling of structure. It's the tower in Tarot. It's bringing down the house, bringing down the government, bringing down the king. And Capricorn is saying the feminine has a role to play. The feminine can pick up the pieces. The feminine can modulate this effect. The feminine healer can rise and be a source of support and wisdom in the middle of this. You don't have to be afraid of everything falling apart, because there is a deeper wisdom here at the core of this, at the root of this. And so she has been there with Pluto for like 3 years on this journey through Capricorn, reminding us. And right now, yep, there they are. And then in early Capricorn, retrograding back into Sagittarius, are the other Lilith, the third Lilith that I read in the Divine Feminine Astrology reading. She has been in a long conjunction to Pholus. And the Lilith asteroid is the personal disowned feminine. And the interesting thing about that, just as the demonized goddess is not a demon, it's all about perspective. The disowned feminine is not a weakness. It is where we are wounded. But the minute you look at it and say, I am bringing that power forward, I am no longer going to disown these parts of me, then all of a sudden you are tapped in. You are plugged into power, the feminine power, the power of your sexuality, the power of the earth. That original Lilith, who was all fertility, she made the garden grow in the Garden of Eden. And that was hard for the masculine entities to accept. They kind of wanted all the credit for themselves. And she's been hanging out with Pholus. Pholus is like one of these kind of drunken shamans. And have you ever met an angel unawares? I've met a few in my lifetime. Frequently, when I couldn't get my car started in New York City, I would have homeless men come up and say, let me help you with that. And they would get under the hood, and I'd be like, what's he doing? Who is this person? Where's my stuff? I would go into all of this reactionary, judgmental stuff. But the dude, whatever genius he had before he became a homeless alcoholic or mentally, unhealthy person, he would know exactly what to do. Here, let me touch this. It's like he would do Reiki on my car, and my car would start. I can't tell you how many times that happened throughout my life in New York City, where someone who I would have judged and crossed the street to avoid saved my ass, performed that angel's unaware role. Well, Pholus can be like that. Because he also brings chaos with him. These folks, the shaman, can go right into chaos between the worlds and find the wisdom, the medicine, and do the ceremony and the ritual that will set everything right. He or she is not afraid to go into the eye of the hurricane and do, all around the eye of the hurricane is pure chaos. They will go right in, and they know how to manage those elements. And yet, the minute the work is done, they may not have the resources for, to hold down a house or a relationship or to take care of their own bodily needs. They could be out on the streets, and we look at them and say they're crazy people. Certainly that's what's happened to many of the shamans in modern society. Anyway, I digress, because I'm describing to you the energy of Pholus, where he can unleash transformative and terrifying resources or energies, and he's right there inside your disowned feminine. So, where is this happening in your life? Where is this happening in our society? It's been going on for several moon cycles, and it's going to continue for a while longer. And I get to pay close attention because these two are conjunct. They're transiting my North Node, which is my destiny. What does that mean? I'm going to do some work over the next 48 hours and figure it out. So that is our full moon reading. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I encourage you to reserve your Divine Feminine Astrology reading for this month, this year. Jump right in and get that while you can still have your pick of the dates and your pick of the price, which is only $247 for an hour and a half personal one-on-one healing session with me and your natal chart and all the goddesses. So blessed full moon to you. We are still in the Beltane energy, this burgeoning in the north, this burgeoning energy. I'm wearing my hat and my coat because my heat has gone off in my studio and I'm cold. So I live in northern Maine, mid-coast Maine. Thank you. How do you say your name? Andrula? Is that how you say it? It's a beautiful name. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you again at the new moon. Bye-bye.